Hello everyone, I'm Margaret and welcome to Deliciously Sweet and Savory. Today I'm going to show you how to make Cuban-Style Lasagna. This is my family's recipe, which fuses Cuban and Italian flavors into one great dish. The recipe is not too difficult to make and results in a delicious and satisfying meal for special occasions or any day of the week. So let's get started. For this recipe, you need 3.5 pounds of ground beef, crushed tomato, ricotta cheese, mozzarella cheese, red pepper, onion, salt, garlic powder, and Italian seasoning. For the mozzarella cheese, I use blocks of cheese and grate it myself, but you can use pre-grated cheese if you want. For the lasagna, you also need pasta. I'm going to use freshly made pasta dough. My pasta dough recipe can be found from the link above or on my website. However, you can also use boxed dry pasta. The lasagna will still turn out great. First, we need to prepare a few of the ingredients. Finely chop the red pepper and onions in a food processor or with a knife. Next, if using blocks of cheese, grate the cheese and then place the dish in the refrigerator to keep cool while we make the meat filling for a lasagna. Now place the meat in a large deep pot and spread the meat out evenly. Then add the onion, red pepper, salt, garlic powder, Italian seasoning, and crushed tomato to the pot and mix thoroughly until incorporated. Place the pot on the stove and cook on high heat until the meat is simmering, meaning you see bubbles. At this point, cook on high heat for 5 minutes, stirring the meat occasionally. Then lower the heat to medium-low and let cook for 30 minutes. You'll want to stir the pot occasionally. While waiting, you can roll out the pasta for the lasagna if you are using fresh pasta. Set up your pasta maker and lightly flour your work surface. Then cut your dough ball into 4. Take one portion, flatten it on your work surface with the palm of your hand, and use a rolling pin to roll the dough to a 1/2 inch or less thick so that it can fit through your pasta maker. Begin to roll out the pasta on the highest setting 3 times and start working your way down each number setting, rolling the dough through 3 times for each setting. Be sure to flour your dough after a few rolls through the pasta maker. Also, as the pasta dough gets longer, use the back of your hand to lift it and put it through the pasta maker so you don't rip your dough. You want the pasta to be about 1/8 inch thick, so you could stop on the 2nd or 3rd smallest setting on the pasta maker. Once the pasta is rolled out, trim off the end to even it out with a pizza cutter or knife. Then measure the pasta against the tray you are going to use to cook the lasagna. And cut the pasta a little smaller than the tray because the pasta will expand when cooked. Now use the rectangle of the pasta you cut as a guide for cutting the rest of the pasta. You need to cut at least 3 pasta sheets per lasagna. I placed the pasta on a wire rack without overlapping the pieces to dry, and also to prevent the sheets from sticking together. By this point, the meat will be done, or close to done. Once it's cooked for 30 minutes, turn off the stove and remove the pan from the heat. Then scoop out the meat, straining some of the fluid. Next, add the ricotta cheese to the meat and mix thoroughly until combined. Now we can start cooking the pasta and assembling the lasagna. Put water in a large pot at least a few inches deep and bring to a boil on high heat. While waiting, put a thin layer of crushed tomato on the bottom of the trays where you are going to assemble and cook your lasagnas. Also, set up a lasagna making station with the meat and ricotta filling, mozzarella cheese, and crushed tomato on the counter or on a table. Once the water is boiling, put 1 sheet of pasta at a time to cook for 7 to 12 minutes, depending on how al dente you like your pasta. If using dry pasta, you could cook more than 1 sheet at a time because they're smaller. However, you don't want the pasta to get too soft or mushy, as it will be difficult to transfer to the tray. Also, keep in mind the pasta will cook more when the lasagna is put in the oven. Once the pasta is done cooking, remove it from the pot and transfer the pasta to the tray and lay it across the bottom of the tray. Then put another piece of pasta to cook in the pot of boiling water. While the second piece of pasta is cooking, take the lasagna tray and add a layer of meat filling about an inch thick. Use the back of the spoon to evenly distribute the meat across the tray. Then add a few handfuls of mozzarella cheese. Once the second pasta sheet finishes cooking, remove it from the boiling water and add it to the cooking tray. Then add another layer of meat about an inch thick and a bit of the mozzarella cheese. When the third pasta sheet is cooked, add it to the top of the lasagna. Then put a layer of crushed tomato and cover with mozzarella cheese. At this point, the lasagna can be cooked in the oven immediately, or you can cover it with plastic wrap or aluminum foil and put it in the freezer for another time. To cook the lasagna, put it in a 365-degree Fahrenheit oven for 45 minutes or until the cheese has browned. Once the lasagna finished cooking, remove it from the oven and let cool for 5 minutes before serving. The mozzarella cheese on the lasagna will be nicely melted and browned around the edges, and the meat filling will be extremely flavorful and moist. This lasagna is great to serve with a side of bread to dip in the sauce of the lasagna. The addition of the onions and red peppers to the meat filling adds flavors typical in Cuban cuisine to the lasagna, which is an amazing Italian dish. This is a flavor-packed lasagna between the silkiness of the handmade pasta, the saltiness and gooiness of the mozzarella cheese, the slight acidity and sweetness of the tomato, and the combination of the onion, red pepper, garlic, and Italian seasoning of the meat, which makes it incredibly satisfying to eat. It's also quite simple to make, particularly if you use boxed dry pasta. The lasagna can also be pre-made and frozen for a later time, so it makes for a great meal to make for special occasions or an everyday meal. So have fun giving this recipe a try. For more recipes like this one, visit my website, which also has the written recipes and ingredient amounts. You can also follow my channel. I'd like to take a moment to thank my patrons for their support. If you'd like to become a patron to support my channel, visit my Patreon page. Also, if there are any recipes, Cuban or otherwise, that you'd like to see, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, and see you soon with another recipe.